Hello, my dear friends. You're welcome on our channel. In this video, we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates too. So let's start. Trump admin announces its first Russia sanctions targeting major oil companies, calls on Moscow to immediately agree to ceasefire. President Trump's administration imposed sweeping sanctions on Russia's top oil producers, Rosneft and Lukoil, aiming to cut off Kremlin funding for the Ukraine war and force an immediate ceasefire. These sanctions block U.S. business with both companies and their subsidiaries, disrupt global oil trade, and prompted major buyers like India and China to reconsider purchases, causing oil prices to rise. The European Union has also joined with new measures against Russian energy, signaling unified Western pressure on Moscow to halt hostilities. The European Union has also introduced new restrictions on Russian energy, including a ban on Russian liquefied natural gas, signaling unified Western pressure on Moscow. While Russia denounced the sanctions as counterproductive, Trump and his allies stress that further action will follow if Moscow refuses meaningful negotiations for peace in Ukraine. Russian aviation conducted airstrikes at Rivnopilya, Huliaipole, Uspenivka, Zaliznikne, Malinivka, Veselyanka, and Primorske of Zaporizhzhia region, Kherson and Olivka of Kherson region. General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports Russian aviation conducted multiple airstrikes on the 22nd of October 2025, targeting several settlements in the Zaporizhzhia region, including Rivnopilya, Huliaipole, Uspenivka, Zaliznikne, Malinivka, Veselyanka, and Primorsky, as well as locations in the Kherson region such as Kherson City and Olhivka, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. These strikes form part of ongoing Russian attacks involving air, missile, and drone strikes aimed at both military and civilian infrastructure, causing casualties and damage across these frontline regions. Russian forces continue to press offensives in western Zaporizhzhia and maintain pressure in Kherson, although advances have been limited recently. At Kherson, direction clashes yesterday near Antonivsky Bridge. General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports clashes near the Antonivsky Bridge in the Kherson direction remain intense as Russian forces continue their repeated attempts to seize this critical crossing over the Dnieper River. The bridge has been a focal point of fierce fighting since early 2025 due to its strategic significance for movement and supply lines. Over recent months, Russian troops have launched numerous ground assaults and used artillery and missile strikes to try to break through Ukrainian defenses here. Ukrainian forces have strongly resisted these attacks, using the remains of the partially destroyed bridge for cover and conducting effective counterattacks to prevent Russian advances. The fighting around the bridge is characterized by close-quarters combat, with weather conditions such as fog and rain sometimes aiding Russian surprise attacks, though Ukrainian defenders have so far foiled multiple assaults with strong resistance. Despite heavy bombardments and repeated attempts to storm Ukrainian positions, no decisive breakthrough has occurred, and the area remains contested. Control of the Antonivsky Bridge is crucial for both sides in managing supply routes and military operations in the Kherson region, making this one of the key hotspots in the ongoing conflict. At Orikhiv, direction clashes yesterday near Novodanilivka and Stepov, General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. In the Orikhiv direction, Russian forces launched two attempts to advance near Novodanilivka and Stepov, but these were repelled by Ukrainian defenders, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The clashes are part of ongoing fighting in the Zaporizhzhia region, where Russian forces have recently intensified assaults on multiple fronts, but have faced stiff Ukrainian resistance. Both sides have engaged in continuous combat, with Russian troops utilizing mechanized units, artillery, and drone strikes in their efforts to gain ground. The fighting around Novodanilivka and Stepov highlights the contested nature of the Orikhiv sector, a key area in the broader struggle for control over Zaporizhzhia. Overnight, Russia attacked hydropower plant in Kamiansky with drones and missiles. Overnight, Russian forces launched a coordinated drone and missile attack on the hydropower plant in Kamianske as part of a wider campaign targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure. The strike involved dozens of drones and missiles aimed at disrupting power generation, which led to widespread electrical outages in the region. Ukrainian air defenses intercepted many of the incoming drones and missiles, but some managed to hit the facility, causing damage that will require repair and likely lead to scheduled power cuts. This attack is part of ongoing Russian efforts to weaken Ukraine's energy grid ahead of winter, and follows recent strikes on other hydroelectric power plants along the Dnipro River. Russia launched 130 strike drones overnight. Ukrainian Air Forces. Overnight, Russian forces launched approximately 130 strike drones targeting multiple locations across Ukraine, according to the Ukrainian Air Forces. These unmanned aerial vehicles were part of a massive wave of drone and missile attacks designed to paralyze critical infrastructure, especially power and military sites. Ukrainian air defenses engaged extensively, shooting down many of the drones, but several successfully penetrated defenses and caused damage. This large-scale drone attack reflects Russia's continued strategy to degrade Ukraine's energy grid and disrupt military operations ahead of the winter season. A synagogue in Kyiv was damaged as a result of drones' attack overnight. In total, 7 people wounded in Kyiv. Overnight drone attacks in Kyiv resulted in damage to a synagogue and wounded a total of 7 people in the city, according to reports. The attacks were part of a broader wave of Russian drone and missile strikes aimed at disrupting civilian infrastructure and sowing fear among the population. Ukrainian authorities condemned the attacks, emphasizing the harm caused to religious and civilian sites. Emergency services responded quickly to treat the wounded and assess damage, while air defenses continued countering further drone threats. At Kherson and North Slobodansky Sumy direction, Ukrainian forces have repelled 4 Russian army assaults, General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. In the Kherson and North Slobodansky Sumy directions, Ukrainian forces successfully repelled 4 separate Russian army assaults, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. These counterattacks came amid intense combat, with Russian troops deploying tanks, armored personnel carriers, and artillery in their attempts to break through Ukrainian defenses. Ukrainian defenders of the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade Magura, along with other units, inflicted heavy losses on the attackers, destroying multiple tanks and armored vehicles while holding their lines firmly. The fighting in these sectors remains fierce, highlighting Ukraine's resilient defense against persistent Russian offensives. At Kupiansk, direction clashes yesterday near Pishan, Petropavlivka, and Kupiansk, General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. In the Kupiansk direction, clashes occurred yesterday near Pishan, Petropavlivka, and Kupiansk city, with Ukrainian forces successfully repelling Russian assaults. Russian troops attempted to advance using armored units and artillery, but faced strong Ukrainian resistance that prevented their breakthroughs. Ukrainian defenders maintained control over key positions, inflicting losses on Russian forces while stabilizing the front lines in this contested area. The fighting reflects ongoing intense military activity in Kupiansk, where Russian attempts to gain ground have been consistently met with determined Ukrainian defense. Explosions at Ryazan airfield due to drones raid. Explosions were reported at the Ryazan airfield overnight due to a drone raid, part of a large-scale Ukrainian drone and missile attack targeting critical Russian infrastructure. The Russian Defense Ministry stated that their air defenses shot down 14 Ukrainian drones over the Ryazan region, but debris from the destroyed drones caused a fire at an industrial site, reportedly the Ryazan oil refinery, one of Russia's largest fuel facilities. No casualties were reported so far, but damages to the refinery could impact fuel supplies to central Russia and military logistics. This strike is among several drone attacks across Russia overnight, where Ukrainian forces launched around 130 drones, aiming to disrupt Russian military and energy infrastructure. Drones have attacked plastics chemical plant in Kopysk of Chelyabinsk region of Russia. Drones attacked the Plastmass chemical plant in Kopysk, located in Russia's Chelyabinsk region, resulting in a powerful explosion. The plant produces plastic products and artillery ammunition for the Russian military and is a key military-industrial facility. Regional authorities confirmed multiple casualties, with at least 10 people killed and many others injured, some critically. Despite initial statements denying a drone attack, independent media and regional sources linked the incident to the ongoing Ukrainian drone campaign targeting Russian defense industries. Emergency services are conducting search and rescue operations, while the local governor declared a state of municipal emergency following the blast.